Welcome everybody to our forecast. My name is OUR BLINDSPOTS, and as always we're going to start with a quick review of March energies. I'm going to talk a little bit about the range of frequency and the range of perception. However we receive messages really depends a lot on our personal state. And this is something that I want you guys to bear in mind a bit, because when it comes to info, and for us energetically sensitives and empaths, right, this has always been kind of like a core issue. We get a lot of info, we share a lot of info, nobody wants to listen to us, nobody understands us, nobody even sort of has a clue what we're talking about. So info is not the problem. This info is always there. You guys to just bear this in mind, and especially in conjunction with your loved ones, with your relations, with people that you are working with or in your families. Know that it isn't so much that it's just us having that information. I think the big difference here is really that what this information that is out there means to us is different than for other people. So I'm saying this sort of preventatively here, because I don't want you guys to go into this place of separation or isolation with this. That we seem to have a broader bandwidth of the info that we're receiving. But it isn't necessarily a guarantee that just because we're receiving more info that we're also understanding it better. March was a month that in fact actually turned out, at least on my end, exactly how we discussed it last month, back and forth. It had this recoil type of energy to it. It was this up and down and up and down, and frustrating the heck out of us, and really sort of confusing us more than anything. Let's look at April 2019 energies together. There are a few keywords that are pretty strong. One is learning to see the principles of truth and learning to live with them, choosing to live in truth, choosing to live in those, albeit sometimes forced, ways of seeing the truth and discerning truth. And with it comes like a really, really cool breakthrough energy. So this has already started. This is the end of March here, and for a couple of days we can already feel this. There's a little more clarity after March was such an up and down and back and forth, and letting go and purifying. This will become softer now. This will become more clear for us here what it actually is, why we are experiencing all these challenges that we are experiencing. And besides the physiological changes that we're going through, the physical part of our embodiment of our true nature, we will also now become really aware of this shift in perspective, this shift in perception that is going on. And I'm expecting for April the challenges to be a little more sort of in the way we process information. There will be a lot of events, okay? There is a lot of pendulum reaction to this change, to this growth and expansion in frequency, to these higher harmonics of existing. That is to be expected, guys. So there's a lot of discontent. There's a lot of trauma that is being triggered in people right now, and there will be outbursts in April of that. So unfortunately, we're going to see a little more of that terroristic activity, and also something that I've mentioned in the energy forecast for 2019, the war of beliefs, where churches begin to openly attack another. So April will be a very, very transformative month. It paves the way to really, really big changes happening later in this year. So it's kind of like a fast forward for the events to come in November and December. So I want you guys to brace yourself, but without the fear and all that comes in. I want you to buckle up, and I want you to find the trust and the confidence in the work that you have already done with yourself, the discernment of truth, the feeling into your true needs and your true wants, the expressing of that, and really going into choosing your truth without hesitation and without fear of ridiculing, without guilt and shame. So April will bring a lot of new energy into our lives, be it through these inner or outer transformations. You know, on the outside, there'll be a lot of drama and lots of news and lots of more uncovering and lots of more revealing of secrets. Okay, this will continue, guys. This will continue for the next 2 years. Both are coming in as an increased need for more truth that prompts us to reflect on everything that we have been sort of manipulated with. Okay, not to go into conspiracy theories, but we need to reduce that deceptibility, if you will, you know, us being manipulated, us being controlled, and with it also us manipulating others or projecting our stuff onto others, because as energetically sensitives and empaths, that is something that backlashes. So there is this deep, deep prompting to spiritual liberation that is going through our collective right now. And as I've mentioned on other occasions, this started in the 80s and is now really getting into its next orbit, its next, you know, level of higher vibration, higher harmonics. And this requires us to adjust again. So the consequences of such an emerging of this collective evolution of consciousness are that they affect our personal collective lives on all levels. So you just expect that. That's what I mean with brace yourself. We are in the middle of a massive paradigm shift into higher levels of truth. So depending on where we are at, and this will be very obvious here in this month, our journey, you know, this journey that we're all on of becoming a true self, you know, will continue to unravel truths. And whether it is, you know, your trauma, you know, or the things that you've been hiding from yourself, that you've been denying, or that you've, you know, sort of tried to cover up, you know, this uncovering of that is never joyful. That it's always uncomfortable because it goes directly against our ego grain. It comes with disillusionment and disappointments and fears, and lots of letting go. But as soon as we find out, you know, that there is this context, this larger context that comes with experiencing these things, even if in the moment we can't really relate it to how this could make sense. You know, once you can see that there is a larger context and that this is actually all part of your learning and that this is something that drives you forward, you know, that's your progression. You know, that's your healing ritual, is to go and face these things, all right? Then it doesn't have to be painful anymore. And the cool thing is if we can find groups and people that we can share this space with, or if we can create this space for others, it goes a lot easier. And it can be so motivating and invigorating, especially here in April. So those of you who are thinking about this, whether you or the owner of a company or the owner of a space, yoga place or bookstore or whatever, and people come to you and ask if you would like to be willing to share your space for other things, okay, then think about it, because this is part of this new paradigm of resource sharing and synergetic sort of win-win kind of choices. You know, when we go through this process in a forced way, you know, we tend to complain and bicker and commiserate, but that's something that really has got to stop. Because if you think about it, you know, what is it that you're really letting go of? You're letting go of illusions, you're letting go of addictions, you're letting go of toxic relationships, you're letting go of money problems or bad habits, you know, unresolved wounds, you know, or things that are simply not true to you anymore. So what is the loss? Surrendering is the natural process of transformation. And yes, it does trigger fear of loss. But it really is there to recondition us, to reprogram us, to develop that stance for ourselves and the courage to keep going. Most of you are already experiencing this liberation that can come from consciously and voluntarily witnessing your own blind spots, or how your ego sort of messes with your perception, and even, how you project things, false self things into the world. Fear of loss is a sensation, yes, it's very much linked to our physiology, and it binds you to the third dimension. It binds you to the solidity of things, and it also binds you to the collective karma, and with it also to the collective karmic debt. All right, so everything that your collective has sort of formed as a collective debt will sort of resonate through you, but it doesn't have to. So discernment allows you then to sidestep that. When you dedicate yourself to living in the truth, and you got through the death of your ego somewhat, all right, the fall from the ivory tower, then you can begin to realize how you were conditioned to all of this, to experience these collective phantom pains. How fight, flight, or freeze is just really part of your neurology. It's nothing you can do against. Neurotransmitters, hormones, yes, they all play a role here in 3D. So you got to master those things. But just mastering, diet and exercise and so forth is not enough, as many of you are finding out. You also got to master your emotions, your false self, your attachments, which are linked to your unresolved inner child things and shadow aspects. Also, some of the mentalization, the conceptualization that you have in your mind, that locks you into beliefs and also unrealistic expectations. These things they all need to be let go of, and even sort of your spiritual views may transform, may change. This isn't always easy to let go of these old beliefs. Okay. But the way this happens is through sidestepping, guys. Is through not basically following your dualistic nature. The nature that the part in you that sees everything as either good or bad, or dark force or light force, or right or wrong. This choice to live in truth really means to consciously leave the paradigm of ego, because that's the one that dictates how you see reality. And without discernment, there is no truth. So your willingness to discern truth, your willingness to live in truth, is your key to this freedom, to liberating yourself from this collective karma. So, so the next 4 or 6 weeks, we will discover a new layer of these principles. And as much as we want to twist and turn it or bend the rules, no more secrets, guys. This will just continue. And your energy body is calibrated to truth. And this is the cool thing about learning energy work, because what you'll find is that once you really tune into your energy body, all these confusions and misconceptions and whatnot, they all disappear. It doesn't matter what your body or your emotions or your mind or your cultural programming tells you. On an energetic level, your system recognizes truth. And this is the trick with connecting with your true self. It recognizes it, and there is no mistaking. It records all violations and also the convergence with truth. So you can feel this. You resonate with this. As soon as you align yourself to truth, you resonate with different kind of people, with different kind of products, with different kind of companies, with different kind of everything. So don't be surprised or even confused or shocked if your relationships and all the people that you surround yourself with are changing too. April will be a big month of that. Just because we haven't learned how to do this properly yet. doesn't mean that we're not there yet. It just means that we don't have the scope to contextualize this right yet. So, but just the fact that you're here, just the fact that you're listening to this or reading this right now, is showing you that there's a part of you that recognizes truth and that prompts you to explore these new routes. So the ability to trust in your inner truth and to learn how to discern it is your shortcut to this change, to being able to adapt to these changes. Okay? So make sure that you know what you focus your energy on. Make sure that what you're striving for, what you're fighting for, what you're living for is really what you truly want, that it reflects, your needs and your true wants. And also how you want it. And make sure that you don't get tangled up or distracted by things that really don't actually matter to you anymore, that are not even important to you, like what your neighbors think, those kind of things. Also check if you have a tendency to be too idealistic, whether it's idealizing yourself or your partner or some gurus or whatever it is. Double check on that. And April will have a little bit of temptation to go into this idealizing. And make sure that the way you express yourself, the way you express your needs and your wants, that this is congruent with how you're feeling this. So the self-reflection continues, but without this extreme sort of up and down and squeeze that we've been experiencing here in these last months. So on the outside, though, political, economical, earth changes and social stuff, it's going to be pretty messy. Okay, so understand that messy is part of our learning, okay, but it's in our adaptability and the trust, the confidence to listen in our inner prompting that ultimately then brings us to be in the right place and the right time. Okay, so just remember to stay within your truth, even if it's hard sometimes. So the true challenge in April will not be to accept that the world that we know is changing, but that the way we see and understand ourselves as well is changing as well. Many of you will experience this great sense of renewal and fresh perspectives now, so that will give you courage. Okay, it will give you this momentum to break through. Understand that these old patterns that come with a resistance, and it takes effort to break through. So just do it. But without the willingness, to let go of some of your old idealizations or beliefs, the judgment, being focused on performance and outcome, it's going to be rough. You can run out of steam and you feel drained because it's all third chakra, it's all solar plexus. It's all coming from force and not from power. So from an energetic point of view, the big danger here is that we, need to keep an eye on these projections of ourselves. Like, what do we put out into the world? Is this congruent? Is this true? Because if it's not, then you're paving the way to absorbing outer energies. And for you as empaths, this is a huge, huge lesson to be learned, because this is where your biggest energy leakage is located. Okay, so if you want to out-vibrate that, then you need to embrace energy work, and learn how to redirect your focus from experiencing a symptom to, like your energy system and where you feel this and how you can release it, how you can clear it, how you can connect with it, how you can integrate it. So this new energy is there to show you new ways, okay? So it comes with educating yourself as well. But you're still up against these pitfalls of your own ego. And that means you're going to have to accept some of these darknesses within. But if you, and this is the part of this temptation, if you isolate yourself, if you separate yourself from others, you're just riding yourself deeper into the abyss, okay? It just gets darker. So don't do that. reach out, share, open up your space for people who are on the same wavelength, if you will, who resonate with you on this level. But also simultaneously make sure that you stick with your inner truth, that you express your true needs and your true wants. Okay? This concludes the energy forecast here for April, and I wish you guys a really good month. Personally, I'm very excited about April, and the rest of the year I'm always excited about new challenges. But that's because I'm so much in the habit of adjusting to things that the content of the adjustment, of the change, really doesn't matter to me anymore. So that's a place you get into when you accept change as this continual and constant shift. That's also when you don't attach to anything anymore, and where the outcome really becomes irrelevant, where it's all just about what you become and how you express it. Everything else then falls into place. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for sharing those videos, for helping me to grow this self-healing community. Thank you to all Patreon subscribers and all Sacred Self-Healing members to making all this possible. I love it when you guys share and how you interact with another. Let's do more of it. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful April.